Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is Off the Ropes with John and Josh. We are here. We are queer. Nah, maybe not. But we are excited to bring you another episode of Off the Ropes with John and Josh. I, of course, am John, and to my left is the ever-popular, effervescent, beautiful, delicious Joshua Rayner.
Hey, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited to talk today. It's gonna be a good episode, I think.
We have so much shit to talk about today, and the thing is people don't understand when we record an episode of Off the Ropes. A lot goes into planning it. There's stories from the last couple of weeks, but today, not only is it stories from the last couple of weeks since we recorded, we have news that's breaking today.
That's right, and. The interesting thing about today's podcast is that's all it is. It is a full Breaking Kayfabe episode.
Oh, man. It's not very often we get to do an entire episode where it's just Breaking Kayfabe.
That's right.
Oh, man.
I guess we should get into it, huh? Because, like you said, we got some literal breaking news because we are starting this podcast right at the end of SmackDown Friday night.
Yeah.
And, a news story dropped that says Vince decided he was going to let a whole bunch of people just go.
Yeah, and it's crazy because usually it happens on a Tuesday or an off day of wrestling, but no, this is literally happening as Josh was saying, as SmackDown was going.
Yeah. So as you can see down at the bottom, next set of releases dropped right during SmackDown. And there's a decent list. Now, we've talked pretty much every episode for the last, 4 or 5 at least. And every time that we have had an episode, there has been a drop. And last time we did the show, we talked about, I think I brought it up. I was like, I'm just waiting to see this next set. Because Money in the Bank had just happened, and usually they wait until after the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, are we going to get it at the end of July? Well, it looks like they waited an extra week into the first week of August, and here we are, essentially right on schedule with a new crop of releases. I'm pretty sure they're all from NXT.
Yeah, it looks like a pretty much all NXT release. Yeah. Which is even more weird because lately it's been Raw, SmackDown, behind the scenes people, tech people, ring crew.
That puts a little bit more solidification to the theory that I had brought up last episode that I have a feeling he's looking to drop NXT.
There's no, especially with a few of the names on the list, there's no doubt about it in my mind.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah. So let's look at this list. We've got Bobby Fish, as I like to call him, Bobby the Fish.
Bobby the Fish!
I've got Bronson Reed.
That one surprises me.
Yeah, absolutely. Jake Atlas, Ari Sterling, Kona Reeves, Leon Rush, former NXT champ.
No, former North American champ.
Oh, was he North American? Either way, former champ.
Yeah, exactly.
I know he's a skinny guy. I'll be honest. I was shocked he was brought in the first place because I know Vince, I know the types of people that he likes to bring on.
Honestly.
And yes, NXT tends to scale a little bit toward the quote unquote indie look of wrestlers, the smaller guys and stuff like that, which is cool. I like that. But this guy was like a twig. And so I was a little shocked.
They only brought him in because he looked like Leon Ruff. Or Rush.
Yeah, Rush. Maybe. But yeah, so he's gone. Stephen Smith, Tyler Rust, which he went by a different name before, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't remember who he went by before, but he was a newer guy, but...
Yeah, I feel like because I remember talking about him before.
Yeah.
Zachariah Smith, Asher Hale, Giant Zangier, and this one kind of shocked me, Mercedes Martinez.
Yeah. Only a few of those names off the list do I really know.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of shocking with the few big ones. especially Bronson Reed and Mercedes Martinez, who in their own rights were like ready, in my personal opinion, were ready for main event call-up. Whether or not they would be utilized properly, it's a whole nother story for a different time and a different episode. But I'm saying I think they could have at least done some potentially good work on the main rosters.
Yeah, I was just shocked. I when I was looking up news stories for this episode, I was like, man, there's really not been much of anything for releases.
No,
there's like 2 big release stories that we're going to talk about in a bit, but there wasn't just a big flood out of people that they were getting rid of, and I was a little shocked because it had been a few weeks since pay-per-view. It's already at the beginning of August, and then right before we started, John dropped this news in our chat, and I was like, oh shit, we got some legit breaking news to talk about. And man,
I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of glad we caught it before we recorded, because usually it goes the other way. Usually we record and then one of us jumps on like Twitter or Facebook, and then we're like, oh shit, like this just happened and we just recorded.
So I'm real glad that we caught this, because
and another thing that I want to address this really quick, because this was actually brought to my attention recently. We had a shout out via Facebook where one of my old friends, his name's Jason Perdue, he reached out to me and he said that he had recently discovered the podcast and that he was very happy to see that 2 guys can love the business and not be like judgmental. We're not, WWE fanboys. We're not AEW fanboys. We talk about the business as a whole, and we try not to be biased about shit. Yeah, and that's one of the big things I think. Josh,
obviously, we have our preferences. We like what we like. We don't like what we don't like. But we try to give everything its own fair shake.
Absolutely. And I had thought about this right as we were right now, and I know it doesn't really fit with breaking kayfabe, but I always like to try to give people the unbiased opinion, which is why I had presented to Josh maybe we changed the way we attacked Off the Ropes a little bit. Yeah. Because instead of if you go back to the original Off the Ropes, we were
from 2012. It was legit a history lesson.
We were legit this happened, this happened.
This is the story of the Attitude Era, and it was a big multi-part thing that we never even finished it.
Nope. So then when we came back, we were doing just pay-per-view reviews, and I was like,
well, we were doing news as well.
Yeah. I mean, we're always doing breaking kayfabe, but we majorly focused on the pay-per-views.
Yeah.
And now we changed it up so that we can just talk wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah, because what it was news or news in a pay-per-view. If there was no pay-per-view, it would be like an episode like we're doing today, kind of. Though, just so you guys know, we are ending this pay-per-view with a pretty big topic that I hope you guys are excited about.
Absolutely.
I'm sure my future self will have made it the title of this video. We'll see.
So I appreciate that people are finally starting to reach out to us. And they're like, hey, you guys are doing a really great job. It reminds me why I'm a fan, to listen to what you guys are talking about. And we hope that you guys aren't getting bored with what we're doing. This is all for you, because Josh and I can talk about wrestling not on the air, but we want to share it with the people.
Yeah, and if you ever got suggestions, just reach out to us.
Hell yeah. Suggestions, things you want to see, things maybe that we're missing.
Yeah, absolutely. We're always open to something, and we'll take all suggestions. Whether we use them is another story, but we will take them.
So back to breaking kayfabe.
Back to the breaking kayfabe. Okay, so like I said, Vince just dropped these people today during SmackDown, and this ties into our next story. That reportedly the networks are concerned about how Vince has been handling things lately. One report used the term fire sale vibes. He's just trying to get rid of things as fast as possible. And that's why every month or so, we've been seeing huge drops of talent just gone. Yeah. what are your thoughts on the networks kind of not appreciating the way he's handling things, and what do you think is going to happen in the long run?
Well, it's weird because, I mean, my personal opinion about it is, I mean, we've talked about it the last couple of episodes. My personal opinion, he's setting up to sell, and obviously you get rid of the big talent because people don't want to pay for big contracts.
Yeah.
Especially, I understand certain releases. Like, Braun Strowman, over the last, year and a half, he was injured a lot. He was on the sidelines. But Braun Strowman, every time he came back, he looked fitter and more in shape than he was before he left. And it's the same with one that we'll talk about later. I understand why this shit is happening because, Vince can't run this business forever.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like Triple H and Stephanie want to run the business. I'm sure Shane doesn't want to run the business at this point.
I doubt it.
So, I mean, I think fire sale is definitely a good term. It's one that you don't hear thrown around very often.
Yeah.
I would say, though, I think Vince is getting careless with some of the firings. Because
absolutely.
With some of the firings comes to the point, okay, prime example would be Malachi Black.
Yeah.
When they fired him, somehow it was overlooked that he only had a 30-day non-compete clause and not the 90-day like most superstars do.
Yeah, because that's an NXT thing.
That is an NXT thing, and apparently when he came up to the main roster, nobody fixed it. And, I mean, good for him for cashing in on a clerical error and going forth with AEW.
Yeah.
And I know I'm going to kind of get off on a tyrant on this one to come back to where I was originally. So all these people are going over to AEW, and all these people are shitting on AEW right now, calling it like the new WCW. We've talked about it. And I don't see it like that. I see this as an opportunity for AEW to pick up talent that's not going to overflow their roster, but it's going to help their roster succeed in the long run. I mean, you've already got great talent over in AEW, and we know this. You've got the guys like Darby Allin. You've got the guys like Orange Cassidy, Trent Beretta. You've got Chuck Taylor. You've got Pac. You've got the brothers Pentagon and Phoenix. I mean, you've got so much fucking talent over there. The Jungle Express. You've got the entire Dark Order. Like, all these people have talent. But at some point, you need to have talent to go up against talent. Yeah. You start bringing in guys like Malachi Black, who's feuding with Cody. That's a feud that people would have paid 10 years ago to have seen.
Yeah.
And now you're getting it. It's not so much that I feel that AEW is trying to flood their roster or just buy all the talent up. It's they're making smart purchases because not only are they giving these guys screen time and a chance to develop themselves intellectually, they're giving these guys the opportunity that if WWE wants to buy them back anytime soon, their market value just went up.
Yeah, absolutely. And AEW is now going to have 4 different shows.
Oh, yeah.
You need talent for 4 different shows. And you know what? If AEW is going to sit there and buy stuff up, good for them because Vince doesn't seem to care. On a recent investor call, he made a joke, maybe we'll give him some more to buy.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what is he doing? And then he does this, and then he drops all these people that we talked about. And I'm just like,
yeah.
If I was the networks, I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. I mean, and that's just, again, my personal opinion as to how I see it. Yeah. Vince is being careless with the firings because all you're doing is loading a gun. And you can say all you want that you don't view AEW as a threat, but they're coming up in the ranks. And sooner or later, they're going to pull a John Wilkes Booth on you, and you're not going to see the bullet getting shot into the back of your head.
Fair enough.
But I mean, shit happens. Like, Vince can only do what Vince can do. He's already shown that he doesn't really give a shit about shit anymore. He sold off the network to Peacock, and they're ruining the fucking network. Pay-per-views are lagging. People are complaining about the whole setup and the menus. At least when it was WWE Network, you could still, go on there and, things were broken down into categories and stuff, and you could find shit easy.
True.
I mean, Vince clearly just either he wants out of the business or he's just realizing he doesn't have much time left.
Yeah, and maybe he should just retire. That's all there is. But yeah. All right, so on to our next story. It's kind of in line with the first one a little bit. It is a release story, and it's a somewhat big release. But honestly, when you think about it, it doesn't really affect the product, in my opinion.
I was going to say, this one doesn't really affect the product as much.
Yeah.
I feel like it might affect another superstar in a later time frame.
Yeah,
but
true. And as you see, that is Ric Flair has officially been released from the WWE.
Yeah.
Now, there was a lot of speculation, but like, oh, did he get fired? What happened? Ric Flair did an interview recently with People magazine, and he said that it was, something that he asked for, was mutually agreed upon, and that they just didn't see eye to eye on stuff that was going on in the company. Apparently, he had some business opportunities that he wanted to pursue, and because of WWE's like, you can't go off and do other shit policy, he asked for his release, and
I'm just saying, man, if he shows up in AEW, Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson, Ric Flair, you're just missing one.
Yeah, man. I think that would be kind of awesome. I really do.
I'm just saying, you want to restart the Four Horsemen, give the old guys one more run.
Now, do you think this will have any impact on Charlotte?
Honestly, I don't think it'll have any impact on Charlotte due to Charlotte's pretty much got herself cemented in.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's because as long as what Flair is saying is true and that it was mutual, there's no animosity.
Yeah.
That he didn't leave on bad terms. As long as all that is actually true, then I don't think it'll actually affect her career.
No. I don't think it would anyway. Because yes, it is her dad, but
yeah.
He's Ric Flair. Like, he's
barely there in general. So
that's it. It's not like he's on-screen talent. He's not trying to, help put over young people. The last few times he's been on TV, he's been enhancing his daughter's storylines, and sometimes not even in a good way.
That's true. Yeah. I hope that he is able to do whatever he wants. As I said, he's pursuing some different business opportunities. Hey, good for him. I know that he joined some sort of like car thing as like a spokesman for it. I saw like a commercial for it, and like it's him and a couple of other celebrities.
I wonder if it's a limousine service.
That would be actually really funny. So I'm curious if it's stuff like that. Like he wants to branch out and just kind of take on new things to pad his own pocket. Sure, why not?
He's up there in his years too.
He's like 72.
Known as Ric Flair, like he's the Nature Boy.
Yeah,
this is that. Like he's never done like. I think he's made a couple appearances on TV, like in TV shows.
Oh yeah,
but he's never done the Hulk Hogan or the Rock or the John Cena.
I'd love to see him do like a serious role in a movie or something like that. Just something completely different from the character that we see on wrestling.
You know what would be a really cool role for him? A male version of Murder, She Wrote.
I would watch the shit out of that, man.
I'm just saying. Sure. I'm full of great ideas once in a while. I don't know if this would be a smash hit. It'd probably be like Firefly and only get one season.
Probably. I probably wouldn't be as good, but So yeah, there's that. We're gonna stay in the world of WWE a bit. Jeff Hardy officially came out that he came down with COVID, and this put a delay on the feud with Karrion Kross. I remember a couple episodes back we talked about Karrion Kross getting beat by Jeff Hardy when he first came up, and I was like, it seemed like they were starting a feud there. Yep. Obviously, that's true because it was revealed that their feud has been now delayed because of this. So, what are your thoughts on a possible feud between Jeff and Karrion? And do you think what they've been doing with Karrion Kross, like, will work in the end?
I don't know that if what they're doing with Karrion Kross will work in the end. I think he needs to get booked in like a modern Kane story Essentially, like, he needs to be a dominant dude.
Yeah.
Karrion Kross has potential to be like a big dude who goes in there and has a squash match with smaller guys.
Yeah.
Now, granted, Jeff Hardy isn't just a normal small guy. Jeff Hardy is the charismatic enigma. He is the rainbow-haired warrior. He is the... I don't even know anymore. He's Jeff Hardy, though. I mean, he's a fucking legend
Jeff
in his own rights.
Fucking Hardy.
He's a future Hall of Famer. I mean, that's for fucking sure.
That is.
But I feel really bad that Jeff Hardy, like, he was starting to get this push again. Like, they're utilizing him properly, and then he goes and gets COVID. And I mean, like, I know it's not like he went out there like trying to get COVID. It just happened.
Yeah.
But that sucks. And I mean, again, people, like, not trying to preach. Wear goddamn masks.
Yeah.
Like, be safe.
Just do it, guys. Just do it. Like, I understand people have their preferences, but and if it only affected you, then I'd say you know what? You go out, you do whatever the hell you're gonna do. But it doesn't only affect you. You know, and I don't want to get into this big tirade about it, but
I mean,
it doesn't only affect you. You know.
I know things are like opening back up, and we're getting back into like this whole no masks again. But there are definitely times where I still wear mine. Like,
yeah, I wear mine whenever I go to the store and stuff because
I wear mine pretty much if I go.
I don't trust people, and also, it's not just COVID. I haven't gotten sick in over a year, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I got a chest cold this year, but that's just because of my job and stuff like that. I didn't get sick.
Yeah, I get sick like every winter, like really badly. That did not happen this past year, and I'm thrilled about it.
I mean, I hope that Jeff can get over this soon. I am excited to kind of see where this feud's gonna go, because as much as I don't like Karrion Kross's persona, I do think that Karrion Kross has potential to be a future heavyweight champion. Okay. I almost said Hall of Famer. I'm not quite sure about that one yet. He is still, We'll get there, okay, people?
Yeah.
Damn.
Stop
roasting me.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. So, with a Jeff Hardy, a lot of people think of Matt Hardy, but our next story has to deal with a different Matt. The one, the only, Matt Cardona is the new GCW champion.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy. How do you feel about that? First, I want to show a little picture. I got to show this picture. Look at that.
That shirt was white when he started the night.
You gotta love it. Yeah, man. That dude just tore shit up and beat out Nick Gage for this title. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I was excited to see it. I know Matt Cardona himself was like, holy shit. I know he looks a lot smaller in person. I was really shocked.
Man.
Walton from Roadhouse situation.
Absolutely.
I thought he'd be bigger. But when he beat Nick Gage in a death match, I was like, God damn. It makes a lot of sense, though, with Nick Gage like doing more of the AEW appearances and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But GCW was essentially designed for Nick Gage. Like, that was pretty much his baby.
Yeah.
So for him to trust Matt Cardona enough to, like, take the win, take the GCW championship, and, like, if you watch the clips, people were throwing beer bottles and pizza cutters and, like, they were chucking shit at him. He got legit heat for this win. And you know what? Good for him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know a lot of people don't understand Cardona, and they think he's just Triple H's exact words is he's a mark for himself.
Yeah.
And you know what? In this business, you have to be a fucking mark for yourself. You can't be anybody else because nobody else is going to believe in you.
I'm curious what Nick Gage fans and like GCW fans think about the fact that he went over to AEW and lost to Jericho.
I mean, I've wondered the same thing because, Nick Gage put on 2 death matches back to back.
It's like he loses his title to Matt Cardona, and then he goes over to AEW and loses to Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
And, like, I mean, I didn't really know much of anything about Nick Gage.
No.
Other than he was like real hardcore. I was like, okay. But fans of people like that, they get real intense. And I haven't really looked around because I'm like, I'll be honest, I don't want to deal with that kind of toxicity. I don't even want to see it. So I'm like, I avoided even going looking for stuff like that.
There were people who were literally after the show taking like Zack Ryder action figures and tying little nooses around their necks and hanging them. I mean, they literally wanted him dead.
That's ridiculous.
And to be Matt Cardona in this point in his career, you know, this is his first heavyweight championship like anywhere. I mean, think about this. You're in the prime of your life. You're wrestling with your wife, your best friend. You know, you've got your podcast like us. You know, you've got your figure collecting. And then all of a sudden you get this opportunity to beat the king of death matches and take his championship. And now you're this hated individual. You're like the fucking Hulk Hogan of 1996, 1997. And it's like, what the fuck do you do with your career at this point? And you do exactly what he did. You take the GCW championship everywhere and you fucking show it off. And you piss these fans off even more because then you know what's going to happen. GCW is going to need a bigger arena to hold all the people who hate him and are going to show up to watch him lose.
Yep. Absolutely.
And Matt Cardona, he is always ready. And I know he ain't listening to this podcast. I tweeted at him earlier that we were recording, and I am a huge Matt Cardona fan. I was a huge Zack Ryder fan back in the day. I want to be fucking broski of the week, but he keeps giving it to fucking dweebs who live in their parents' basement. Where's my fucking broski of the week?
It's true. It's true. You, sir, are my broski of the week.
Yeah.
All right. And another broski, maybe not. I don't know if he'd be considered a broski or not. Adam Cole, there has been some rumors going around. Is Adam Cole heading to AEW?
Who?
Adam Cole, baby!
Come on, don't forget the hands. Don't forget the hands. It's Adam Cole, baby!
Yeah, you seem to do it better than me. It's cool.
I just like I love doing it. I don't know what it is about it, but
yeah. So recently, a report came out saying that AEW had offered Adam Cole a contract. Because his contract's set to expire after SummerSlam weekend, I believe. And I find that fairly interesting. Though another report did come out. Tony Khan has apparently completely denied these claims. Now, here's what I find interesting. We get stuff like this all the time. Oh, this person is reportedly going to AEW. This person is reportedly going to AEW, and they don't. But you never hear Tony Khan coming out being like, no, that's not happening. Why would he come out and say it? Why would it matter? You know, if it's not real,
CM Punk leaked, and not once was Tony Khan like, "No, guys, no."
But like, not once, or like, why would it matter? Okay, this is the way I look at it. If there's a name like Adam Cole, who in that sphere is fairly well known, and people are thinking, oh, he's going to go to AEW. Well, then maybe they'll start tuning in to AEW. Why would you shoot that down? Because then people would be like, oh, well, then I guess I don't have to tune in. You know what I mean?
Well,
I don't know. There's no real like downside to just kind of letting people think it. Really?
No, that's true. One of the big reasons why I have an issue with this rumor at this point is there's been, and unless I'm missing something that fans have seen that I have not seen, there has been no indication from Adam Cole that he is that unhappy with his WWE status that like he really wants to leave. I mean, you figure, dude's a multi-time NXT heavyweight champion. I'm pretty sure he's been the North American champion. He's had a Royal Rumble moment. He's been at WrestleMania. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's at WrestleMania anyway.
Yeah.
But I mean, like,
I don't know.
he has done so much shit with the WWE until he comes up to the main roster, which, I mean, some guys don't want to come up to the main roster because they know once they go up there, they're lost in a sea of people right now.
It's true.
I mean, what do you do with Adam Cole? He's pretty much done it all in the WWE.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you know, he was the NXT champ, and then they didn't bring him up after he lost his title.
And that was one of the weird things, because usually that's like an indicator that they're moving up.
Yeah. You know, especially when you're kind of like as big as Adam Cole was at the time.
I mean, he still is pretty big.
That's like, true, but I like one of the few when he was the champ. Yeah, that was like the height.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. And they didn't bring him up after he lost that title. I don't know why. I don't know if something happened. But.
And that's one of the things that kind of impresses me with Adam Cole is he's one of those indie guys that got signed. People knew who he was. Like, he showed up in NXT, and people already knew who the fuck he was. Like, he threw the hands up. He did the baby. The fans were in eruption. Like, Adam Cole was like, I mean, you figure, he's done War Games. He was one of the first people in War Games. He's ran a faction that was, in my personal opinion, bigger than Evolution. Like, Undisputed Era is, I mean, I know they're over now, but in their run, Undisputed Era was untouchable.
Yeah.
He's a multi-time heavyweight champion. He's had feuds with every top person in NXT. Ciampa, Gargano. I'm pretty sure he had a feud with Aleister Black, Velveteen Dream. And I mean, his matches with Dream were subpar to anybody else's matches. Like, they were top notch.
Yeah.
Like, what does Adam Cole do now? You either move to the main roster or you stay in NXT hoping you don't end up on a list of releases.
Well, that's where the next little part of this comes into play. Apparently, then a report came out that Adam Cole was showing up to SmackDown tonight, not to, like, appear, but to talk to Vince about his contract.
Huh.
And you rarely ever hear about stuff like that.
Yeah.
Really. You know what I mean? That's not something that normally gets out, but because of all the kind of rumors and everything circulating, you know, it's become a thing. And so, you know, he's obviously he wants to see where his future is. And maybe that's the whole thing, you know. He probably does want to come up to the main roster. Maybe. Why wouldn't he? You know what I mean? Of course he would.
I mean, there's one other big benefit of him going to AEW at this point that a lot of people aren't thinking about either. His wife works for AEW.
Fair enough.
Being over there would give him a lot more time with his wife, and like.
Fair enough. Here's the way I look at it. He's most likely making more money at WWE. So you go, you talk to Vince. You say, okay, where is my career headed here? You know, am I going to be stuck on NXT? Are you going to finally bring me up and do something with me? If not, I think I'm going to move on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it all depends on how Vince is looking at things. And from the way we've been seeing, don't be shocked if this rumor is true and he winds up going over to AEW.
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, I'm not going to say I'd be happy. Like, I know that AEW is trying their damnedest not to sign every WWE guy, but Adam Cole is one of those names that either you sign it or you're going to lose out on potential money.
Yeah, I guarantee you, if AEW doesn't sign him, Impact will.
Oh, yeah.
I guarantee that. Yeah. Because there's no way that the three top companies are going to let this guy just walk off into the sunset. It's just not
and especially with the partnership that like Impact has with NWA and New Japan and everything right now. Adam Cole's money anywhere he goes.
That's true.
You're stupid not to fucking book him against some of the top stars.
That's true. And speaking of that crossover, apparently, our next story here, Jordan Grace disappointed with the lack of women in AEW Impact New Japan crossover, what they are calling the Forbidden Door.
Yep.
Apparently, you know, really, there's been no opportunities really for the female wrestlers to kind of make this transition through what they call the Forbidden Door. And I agree. Like, I had a lot of big hopes when this crossover was announced. I was like, yeah, man, you got Impact, AEW, New Japan, a lot of cool things. And NWA. A lot of cool things can happen here.
Yeah.
A lot of cool things can happen here. And they really have done like the minimal amount of stuff.
Yeah, of anything. Like we've talked about this a couple times where the only person benefiting off this right now is Kenny Omega.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, since this story broke, Impact this last week, they did kind of open the door a little bit.
Okay.
And Deonna Purrazzo was in the ring with her Knockouts Championship, and Mickie James came out representing NWA Empower. And she announced Deonna Purrazzo's next opponent.
Okay.
And it is the return of the Scream Queen, Melina.
Nice. All right.
She will be. Melina will be representing NWA in a fight against Deonna Purrazzo.
See, that's cool. I like that. That.
I can understand why Jordynne Grace is upset because one,
it's been months.
Jordynne Grace is top of her game.
Yeah.
She is one of the best women wrestlers that Impact has.
And the thing is, she's not complaining about her not being part of it.
She's complaining about all women.
Yeah, it's just like there's been a lack of women representation in this crossover.
I think that is an absolute gem of her. For one, she's not worried about herself. She's worried about all women being represented.
Yeah.
And that's admirable because she's not just me. She's like, hey, what about us women? Fuck Kenny Omega and his belts. Well, what about us?
See, we talk about Kenny Omega, and the thing is, our next story deals with him, and it's tied to this story. Kenny Omega has been pushing for more women's wrestling on AEW.
Yeah.
And he's been a big advocate. When Rampage was announced, he said, I think Rampage needs to be have a lot more focus on women's wrestling since Dynamite doesn't. I'll be honest, AEW does a better job than WWE does. So the fact that he's lobbying for more, I think that's fantastic.
He tries.
And if anybody can kind of push that proverbial forbidden door open for them, I think having him on their side, that's a big win.
You know who would push that women's door wide open? Joey Ryan.
Oh God. He'd walk in that door and slam it shut and lock the door and get all creepy and shit. Anyways.
That's some Joey Ryan bashing at its finest right there.
Absolutely, man. What are your thoughts on on Kenny Omega pushing for this and having maybe having Rampage be a bit more of the home of AEW's women's wrestling, so to speak?
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
They have a lot of women's talent over there. I was just having this conversation at work the other day. They've got a lot of women's talent that you don't get to see used because, yes, they're starting to flood the roster a little bit where you're getting a little overhanded with people and you can't feature it all. But again, like Josh said, they've got 4 shows and at least 3 of them are where the talent is. And the 4th show is kind of bringing the indie guys into AEW, giving them a chance.
Yeah.
But yes, I feel that the women need to have the door opened, not because they need an opportunity, but they need the opportunity to remind people that they're not just fucking push-arounds. Mm-hmm. Most of the women wrestlers now are way better. There are women wrestlers who are better than some men superstars.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There are definitely Impact Wrestling just did the Homecoming. So they had the all intergender matches. And you know who tag teamed with Jordynne Grace?
Who?
Little Petey Pump.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Apparently they were a 3-person it was Steiner, Grace, and Pump or Petey Williams, and they reformed their bit of a tag team in Homecoming.
That's awesome.
I would love to see that more.
Yeah.
I would love to see Petey Williams come back and fucking back up Jordynne Grace.
Yeah.
That shit would be awesome.
That's awesome, man. I didn't know that.
AEW has a lot of women wrestlers who you don't see on TV. They've got the Bunny, they've got Bandon, or however you say her name.
Abaddon.
You've got Chris Statlander, you've got Leva Bates. I mean, you've got so much fucking potential over there. You keep bringing in all this new talent. I mean, there's potential matches that like it's every dude's fantasy of being like, I mean, we've got all these women. Why are we not using them?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I'm forgetting so many people like Nyla Rose and
there's a lot, and that's the problem. You don't get to see them as often as you should.
I'm glad to see that somebody's at least advocating to try to get them more TV time.
And I'll be honest, if Rampage is the place for that, I'm okay with that. You know,
I'd be okay with that as well.
Rampage launches next Friday, a week from today, on the 13th, with their debut show. But they also are going to have a special event show, John. Gonna jump right into the next story. AEW's Rampage will hold a special event for their second show, and I think it's going to be pretty cool. This is the Chicago show, and it is called The First Dance. So it's AEW Rampage, The First Dance, held in Chicago. There are rumors that this might be where CM Punk makes his debut because it's in Chicago.
I mean, that would make sense, if anything.
What do you think about the possibility of Punk coming in at this first special event, the second episode of this new AEW show? Do you think it's the right time? I think it's perfect, personally, but
I mean, I'm going to go with an old school quote that me and you haven't said in a long time. The night time is the right time.
Yes. Absolutely.
I will say that I don't think that there's any time that is the right time for a wrestler to debut.
Okay.
It is how you can get the wrestler in without so many people ruining it. Like, think back a few years when the Hardys came back at WrestleMania.
Okay.
You know, people speculated that the Hardys were coming back, but there was no actual, like, cement proof.
Yeah.
And then the New Day teased that they were going to enter that tag team match, and then the Hardys music went off, and that place erupted.
Yes.
Now, I don't think that Punk will be able to use the Cult of Personality theme, but
probably
just
not.
Imagine music hits, CM Punk's name appears on the Titantron. That place is going to fucking go crazy.
Oh, yeah, man. Absolutely.
Especially being Chicago.
Yeah.
Like, there were Punk chants at Raw a couple weeks ago. Or last week. I don't know. Recently, there were Punk chants.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fans still want him. Like, he is in a high demand. No matter when he comes back, it will be the time.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. I'll probably at least record it so that I can check it out. Whether I watch it when it happens, I don't know. We'll see.
I'm still holding my breath on whether or not he's going to be an active wrestler because AEW said that yes, we've signed CM Punk, but they did not say that CM Punk was going to be an active superstar.
Yeah, it's like when Big Show first signed over there. People are like, "What is he going to do? Is he going to wrestle? What?" And he doesn't wrestle. You know?
Nope. I mean, I would love because there was a point. Remember when CM Punk used to do commentary in WWE?
Yeah,
it was like he would sit out at ringside for a little bit, and he like wore like the shitty blazers and stuff.
Oh yeah, man, absolutely.
He's great on commentary.
Yeah,
I mean,
though I highly doubt that he won't ever get in the ring. Oh, but I could see him kind of doing a little bit of both. I could see that. Yeah, I could totally see that. So speaking of special events, it seems WWE has a few planned coming up. Sometime. First one we're going to talk about kind of ties a little bit into the last couple of topics that we've been talking about with the women, and that is something that we talked about last episode. WWE apparently planning a Queen of the Ring tournament. This dropped like right after we recorded or something like that, right around that time, and it was something that you were like specifically went on a thing about. You know, that this is a thing that they should be doing, a Queen of the Ring.
I mean, they should have been doing it.
Yeah, and there's not a whole lot of details out there, but the reports are that this is something that they are planning for later this year. John, let's hear your thoughts.
It's about damn time.
Yeah, it is.
I went off on a huge tyrant of it last time, so I'm not going to get back into it too big this time. But I think that specifically WWE, they have a bigger women's roster than AEW.
Yeah.
Like, they have enough that they can do an entire fucking Royal Rumble and still have women left over.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the fact that they had never done a Queen of the Ring tournament before now, and now they're all of a sudden like, oh, but yeah, I mean, duh. I mean, it's only right that we do a Queen of the Ring tournament. Yeah. Sorry, ladies. And it's like, it makes me wonder, though, how sincere it'll get played off. Because even the King of the Ring tournament has, like, kind of dwindled from what it used to be.
Yeah.
King of the Ring used to be, like, an event to future elevate superstars and give them, like, the rise. I mean, look what it did for Steve Austin.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
He lost the Taskmaster gimmick and became Stone Cold, all with one win over Jake Roberts.
Yeah.
That was the birth of Stone Cold right there.
What I fear is that they do this Queen of the Ring tournament and it goes to Charlotte Flair. You know what I mean?
I really hope not.
Like, I have this sneaking suspicion that she'll be the first Queen of the Ring, you know? It's like, this tournament should be used to elevate somebody, not give somebody who's already elevated a little fucking crown to wear. Like,
well, and that's it. And this, like you said, this is to elevate people, not take people who are already like main event status.
Yeah.
This is where you can take like a former Nikki Cross or the Iconics or
if the Iconics were still in the WWE.
Yeah. But I mean, like, you could take like where they were status wise. Like, you could have taken Alana and elevated her through this.
Yeah.
I mean, Naomi would be a perfect candidate for this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Naomi was on top of the women's division for a while, and then she got hurt.
Yeah, and I could see, like, I could be okay with like Flair working her way through the tournament, as long as she's not the one winning it. You know what I mean?
I would be okay with that. Like, maybe she gets to like the semifinals.
Yeah, like I could be totally down with that. And then there's like an upset win, and like maybe
You know what I would love to see happen, and this is essential. Like, this would be my fantasy booking of Queen of the Ring. It gets down to like the semifinals where it's the two versus the two.
Yeah, the final four.
Yeah, the final four, and it's Charlotte and somebody versus, I'm going to create a fantasy booking over here and say Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross.
Okay.
And whoever Charlotte Flair is going up against gets hurt. Charlotte Flair attacks her backstage thinking she's going to get a bye to go to the main event.
Well, no, I think it should be somebody attacks her. We don't know that it's Charlotte. I feel like maybe until later. I think that would be kind of cool. Yeah.
So then, like, Charlotte Flair's in the ring, and she's like, I should just be crowned the winner because, I'm the queen of whatever, blah, blah, blah. And whoever representing officials come out, and they're like, well, we decided since this is the Queen of the Ring tournament, we need to have this be fair. We found you an opponent. And boom, that's when Becky Lynch comes back and whoops her fucking ass, and she goes to the main event.
Dude, that would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Got goosebumps.
Yeah, man, hell's yeah. I would dig that. I hope that they do it. I hope that they do it justice.
However,
with everything that WWE's been doing lately, I just don't have the confidence.
Realistically speaking, you know who I want the first Queen of the Ring to be?
What?
Toni Storm.
I mean, from what I understand, they're like looking to really kind of elevate her. So that would actually work. That would be a perfect pick because she's not somebody who's already elevated. No, it's somebody who they obviously are looking to elevate, and this would be a great way to do that.
Yep.
Yeah, dude, that's a great pick. I think I would love that. Yeah. Hell, I would love her. Maybe. Like if it doesn't go the way you had booked it there, maybe Toni is the one who beats Charlotte.
Maybe
showing that she can still do this.
Yeah,
that she can. She can be that top dog, and then she goes on to the finals, and maybe like Charlotte tries to interfere, and Toni takes her out, and still wins the match or something.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that could be really cool. But yeah, and it's not the only. A new event that the WWE is coming out with, apparently. WWE has announced plans for a New Year's Day pay-per-view They will take place in Atlanta. John, any thoughts here?
Bet you it's going to have Goldberg in the main event.
Probably.
I mean, it's Atlanta. Goldberg's from Atlanta.
Yeah. WWE released a statement. It says, I just want to read it real quick. WWE will kick off the new year at State Farm Arena in Atlanta on Saturday. It's a Saturday event, by the way. January 1st, because New Year's Day is on Saturday. Marking the first time in history that a WWE pay-per-view event will be held on New Year's Day. They noted that the show will stream live at 8 p.m. on Peacock and WWE Network in countries that still have it.
Fair enough.
Oh, yeah. So I find that interesting that it's that's going to be a Saturday event because
it's
not
that's
something
very
that
rare.
they really do. Yeah, and which I find what will be interesting then. Do you think they'll do it again next year? Because next year it will be a Sunday.
True, maybe.
I think that could be interesting. But yeah, I think you're probably right. They'll probably do something stupid like.
I mean, I hold reserves to grade this pay-per-view until I really know more about it. I'm excited to see an actual Saturday New Year's Day pay-per-view.
Oh yeah.
But let me tell you, if you're going to bring in the new year and a new day better be there.
Hells yeah, man.
Because it's a new day.
Maybe that's where they split up the New Day. What?
Oh, that'd be fucking crazy.
But again, that is not the only event that the WWE is planning.
Say what?
There's one more story about some WWE events, and that is that WWE is planning to return to Saudi Arabia this year.
I'm not even going to comment on this because you already know my thoughts on this one.
They have not been there since February of last year, so before lockdown and everything, obviously. And it says that they're looking to get their 10-year deal back on track for this October is when they're looking to make a return. Now, I have never really been a fan of these, mainly because I don't like the government of Saudi Arabia. They're the guy who runs it he's not a good guy. And Vince just lets him just dictate every single thing. He wants Hogan back. Hogan's there. He wants Goldberg to win. There it is. And it's I don't want to see this shit.
Nope.
It tends I feel like more times than not, the Saudi Arabia shows tend to be trash.
Well, not to mention, it's what led to the Survivor Series fiasco a couple years ago with NXT being part of it because of they got held there. They weren't allowed to leave. Yeah. So I mean, and I don't know if they're letting them now, but I remember a time where they weren't letting women wrestle. I mean, we did have the first women's match over there. It was Natalia.
And they had to be neck to feet covered,
pretty much.
They had to wear high neck, long sleeve gear.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm I get that you have your own customs and shit, but that's some ass backwards bullshit. I don't want any part of that, man.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I understand why Vince does the Saudi shows because he's trying to branch out and maintain.
The only reason he does it is because he gets money.
It's public relations.
Huge amounts of money. That's it. But I don't think he gives a shit about public relations.
Not.
I really don't. I literally think it's because the guy was I will give you this shit ton of money for 10 years, and Vince is fucking paper, make it rain, bitch. I think that's literally the only reason. Yeah.
But I will say it's led to nothing good really coming from it. Ever. It's led to some shit booking. It's led to some bad choices.
Yeah.
Like you said, the women get disrespected over there, and that's not fair to them.
Yeah.
The first couple times there was no women's matches. The one time there was a women's match, they had to wear totally different gear than they would normally wear with T-shirts over it.
Yeah.
And I understand, women are treated disrespectfully over there. That's their culture. But these are American, and I get it. We're guests in their country. But it's fuck, man. Then Why are you booking? Like, why are you watching?
Here's what I say. Like, you allow it to be aired on your television, though?
Exactly.
Like, I don't get it.
Like, when women's matches come on, do they just turn the channel?
Like, yeah, do the censors just, like, block those out? And you get, like, a black screen or something the entire time? Like, I don't know. I mean,
I'm just... I don't want to see a Saudi show because I know it's not going to lead to good for anybody.
Yeah, no, I think you're probably right. But there it is. And as long as restrictions stay down, they're going to do it. You know? So we'll see how all of that goes. All right, so our last like normal news story before we get into our final big topic of the night. John Cena came out and said that the WWE needs to stop relying on aging part-timers. Obviously, that includes himself. You know that. He has said publicly that he considers himself a part-timer, and he knows that. And John Cena has come out and said that they need to stop relying on all these part-timers because doing so, he said, will make the future of the WWE less stable.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on this take? I mean, were you surprised that it came from John Cena?
I am a little surprised that it came from John Cena, but I mean, okay. Off record, I'm going to say something, and you're going to not believe this, so you might want to sit down.
Already sitting, and we're technically on the record because we're recording.
John Cena, the person, I have total respect for him.
Oh, yeah, man.
Everything he's done behind the scenes for the business, for Make-A-Wish Foundation, for speaking up for advocacy for people, for being like a shining light in darkness for so many people. He's right, though. WWE relies too much on part-timers. Me and you have talked about this countless times.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not going to rip off a Band-Aid and hash open an old wound that doesn't need to. You know, we've talked about how we don't need the Goldbergs. We don't need the Rocks. We don't need... I mean, if the storyline calls for it, it's cool. Mm-hmm. They don't need championships. They don't need main events. Yeah. You can put them where they need to be to help tell a story, though. Now, obviously, when The Rock comes back here in a few months, it's going to be a championship picture, and it's going to be against Roman Reigns. That's a whole different story, though.
Yeah.
That's Roman Reigns being like this whole dick right now, and he's the head of the table, and there's nobody going to beat him. And then there's the fucking Rock, who he was like one of the faces of the Attitude Era. He's the most electrifying man in all of entertainment.
That's right. I mean,
all, you know. There's not many people who can step toe-to-toe with The Rock and look as good or as impressive in the ring.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know who else could who could actually take out Roman. Because there was, I didn't include this in the docket, but there was a news story that says Roman Reigns has now gone 600 days without being pinned.
Yep.
And like, that's insane. That's like almost 2 years.
Yep.
You know? And so you can't just let some just random dude be the one to take out Roman, you know?
No.
So I think, you know, when it comes to something like that, yeah, The Rock I think that is a good choice. But like, who the fuck needs Goldberg?
Well, like, that's the thing. Like,
what is he really bringing to this? Like, The Rock is bringing something very specific to the Roman thing. He's family. He's a huge fucking, you know, star. Like, he is like the top. You know what I mean? And
not to mention, The Rock is still in phenomenal shape.
Oh, fuck yeah, he is, man.
Like, no offense to Goldberg. He's not in the shape he was in the 90s.
Yeah.
Now, I'm gonna draw a parallel line here, though, for a second, okay? Because AEW kind of does the same thing. Like, they've got guys like Sting still wrestling.
Yeah.
He's up there in his years. But you know what Sting has done recently? Show fans he's still relevant in today's fucking world of wrestling.
Oh, yeah, man.
Like, is he in perfect shape? No. But he's keeping up with guys like Darby Allin, Scorpio Sky, Ricky. I mean, did you see the massive exchange between him and Orange Cassidy? Oh, my fucking God. Think of the fans at ringside. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
That shit was hilarious. Oh, my God. That shit was hilarious.
I mean, like, guys like Sting, like, yes, he might be up there in his years. He's earning his spot. He's showing people he can still do this.
Yeah.
John Cena, still in great shape. Still relevant sometimes.
Yeah, man. I mean, I just watched the Suicide Squad, and that dude, he's fucking huge, man.
I will be watching the Suicide Squad tonight. So
yeah, he's huge. And so, like, yeah, I get it, you know? Having and John Cena he's a huge name.
Yes.
You know, so I understand them wanting to bring him back. You know.
When it comes to part-timers, though, like Goldberg, Brock Lesnar, a few of the other guys who have, like, here and there, I don't think WWE constantly needs them. But up until recently, with all the recent, like, cuts and layoffs and the trying to save monies, it doesn't make sense why WWE is bringing these guys back, because you're paying them more money than you're paying some of your superstars who aren't even being used.
Oh, yeah.
Elevate the talent you have instead of bringing back yesteryear's talent who, again, no offense to Goldberg, but we all know Goldberg's strong suit is a short match.
Yeah.
Not every match that he's in can be a short match, because then you're making your talent look fucking weak.
Oh, yeah.
Yesteryear, when Goldberg did it in WCW, you were putting him up against guys who were mid-level talents. The Raven, Disco Inferno, Norman Smileys. It wasn't until he started fighting guys like Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Sting, that he was having like legit matches. Bret Hart, you know, those were when he started having like longer matches. And what happened? Oh, Goldberg's not having great matches anymore? I wonder why. You're not beating somebody in 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, you know, of the three guys that we've talked about that are coming back, you know, Rock and Cena, they are like top level, not just like, I'm not just talking like, oh, in the ring, but like to the fans.
Yeah.
They're top level.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure there is a big contingent of Goldberg fans. I know that. I totally get that. But like, no offense to Goldberg, he's not on the level of either of them. He's just not. And he's not going to bring the same kind of energy and talent that the other two are going to bring to whatever match they do.
I'm going to draw one more parallel line off of Goldberg, because that's been relevant lately, and like he's teased it. Hulk Hogan has went through his surgeries.
Yeah.
He's teased a return. He's said himself he wants one more run with a heavyweight championship.
Don't be shocked then if he's at that Saudi Arabia show.
I mean, if he's up to it, if he's in the shape, maybe. But here's the thing. Hulk Hogan also knows, like, granted, I know a lot of people shit on Hulk Hogan for comments he made a while ago. I'm not saying in any way do I support Hulk Hogan as a racist or any of that shit. I'm saying the man as a worker. He shows up, fans love him. That music goes off. I don't care if you're 70.
Yeah, it's true. It doesn't matter. Everybody just kind of like, I'll be honest, everybody just kind of forgets the things that he has done and said once that music hits. It really does.
Yeah. And I mean, like, you still get the people who are like, oh, Hulk Hogan's on TV taking up time. But at least Hulk Hogan isn't getting in the ring being like, let me hit a big boot and leg drop somebody, brother.
Yeah, that's true. You know, if he wants to just show up, whatever. But yeah, it's when you start like having matches. And I think Goldberg needs to move on. I really do.
And I mean, that's one of the things that I think, like, Hulk Hogan might show up and take some TV time while he's like hosting or co-hosting stuff. But at least he's not getting in the ring and like shitting like all over the product.
You know what? Goldberg can go over to Impact.
Goldberg had a couple good matches the last time he came back. That needs to be respected. WWE the last time was like, oh shit, if we push Goldberg hard like this, he looks strong.
Yeah. No, I get that. The problem is he's unnecessary.
Yes.
There's no real reason. It's not like Bobby Lashley has not ever been beaten.
True statement.
You know what I mean? It's not like he's gone 600 days without being pinned.
No,
you know?
and that's one of the things, though. You said it, and it's the specific word that needs to be focused on in this topic. Unnecessary.
Yeah.
We don't need guys like Goldberg to come back and beat Bobby Lashley. There are plenty of guys on the roster right now who have potential. Okay, I can't believe I'm actually going to say this because 10 years ago I never would have thought this.
Yeah.
Jinder Mahal.
Yeah, man. I see that.
Jacked up beast. He'd be a great competitor for Bobby Lashley.
And he's been a heavyweight champ.
And
there,
yeah.
You know?
And I mean, but right now we got him feuding with Drew McIntyre. Man, we re-signed Heath Slater. We can get a 3-man band reunion.
I know, right? And that's the thing. It's like you saw where Drew was. Drew was at the top. Then they're like, nah, fuck this guy. We're giving it to Bobby Lashley. And then just sank Drew McIntyre.
Yep.
And it's like, go fuck yourself, everybody.
Yep.
Like, come on, man.
I'm not saying, like, I'm sure Drew will have his time to come back and be the top again. Like, think of the Attitude Era. They circulated the title between, like, 5 guys.
Yeah, that's true.
And I'm sure every era will have that moment. Like, John Cena was Hulk Hogan for a little while, you know? He even wore the black and white, okay? But I purposely put on black and red to focus on the next topic.
That's true. And that next topic, John, it's a big one.
It's a big one.
It's one that you love. Brother. That's right. It's the Let Me Tell You Something, Brother moment of the night, topic of the night, whatever you want to call it.
No, I really like that you just went with moment of the night.
That topic, let him in or force him out, the release of Bray Wyatt. All right, John, I know you got a lot to say on this topic.
Now, everybody knows recently Bray Wyatt was released, asked for his release, was given his release. However it went down, we're not focusing on the release in its entirety. We're going to talk about everything surrounding the release. Yeah. Now, let's start with the news that Bray Wyatt was released broke.
Yes.
Wyndham Rotunda is by far one of the best wrestlers WWE's had in the last decade. Easily. Promos are untouchable. His work ethic is unmatched. The dude is a fucking hybrid wrestler. Josh used to say this perfectly. WWE ran with it, and Josh took it. He is a tank with a Ferrari engine.
It's true, and he has gotten in such great shape since he started.
Such great shape.
And here's my first issue with the announcement, okay? You know, WWE drops this announcement on Twitter. And what do? They, of course, have a picture that goes along with it. Like you do with every single news story that's ever been put out. You have to have a header, like a featured image.
Yep.
And this right here is what they used. And
which is a horrible picture.
I don't understand why this is the image that they would go with. For those of you who are on the podcast, who are listening, go and just honestly just Google Bray Wyatt release WWE Twitter, and the picture will come up. Yeah, it's obviously an old picture. He's a lot bigger. Like, he's not in the shape that he is now. And you're trying to tell me you ain't got a more recent photo of this guy? Like, from the last 2 years even?
Right.
Like, what was the thought process? I'll be honest. Even outside of just being pissed that Bray was let go, this picture really pissed me off. And like, I feel like I've gone on with you outside of the podcast a few times on this. I'm like, it really bothered me.
I mean, me and you have definitely, this has been a topic of discussion between us for the last week since the release was announced. Now, those of you who know me, I mean, you know, I'm a huge Bray Wyatt fan. Yeah. I have a Bray Wyatt tattoo. Here's the thing that bugs me, though. It's not that Bray Wyatt was released or asked for his release from the company. It's the way the fans reacted. Okay? Yeah. Yes, all the AEW rumors are instantly going to start. Oh, Wyndham Rotunda is going to AEW because they had a Cult of Rotunda trademarked. Bray's going to Tony Khan. Well, it's good if he does. I mean, Bray wanted creative control over his character and was really upset in the way that his character was being booked. Yeah. He had every right to be. The booking committee did not know how to work with Bray, just like for years they didn't know how to work with guys like Raven.
Yeah.
And I know that's a really bad parallel because Raven's a totally different character. But look at gimmicks that don't fit the mold. Guys like Sami Callihan, guys like Raven, guys like Abyss would have never fit in with WWE. It's amazing that they could run the Undertaker's gimmick as well as they did for so long.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But again, that's getting off point of where I want to go. I want to talk about the fans. First off, a bunch of you are like, Bray will do fine. He's a smart guy. He's an intellectual. Yeah. He'll make do and he'll survive wherever he ends up. And I 100% agree.
Yeah. And to those fans, thank you for being, logical and not an asshole.
Yes. To the fans who instantly pointed blame at Alexa Bliss, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Alexa Bliss didn't just point a finger and go, Bray Wyatt should be released today, guys.
Yeah. No, man, they're super close.
Yeah.
The two of them.
She was given an opportunity to work with him, and that was something WWE felt would help her and him.
Yeah. I mean, when the news dropped, she put out a tweet. I'll read it real quick. It says, I really am at a loss for words. Thank you so much, Wyndham, for everything you've done for this company. The most fun I've had is working with you. Such an amazing talent. The most kind person. I'm just in shock. It's like nobody knew this was coming.
No. And
that's the worst part about it. That's what makes me think he didn't ask for his release. Is that why would someone like her have not known? Like, I feel like he would have told her. I don't know. Maybe he wouldn't.
Maybe. I'm hearing 50-50 rumors on this whole thing.
Really?
I've heard he's asked for his release because he still wasn't dealing with Brody's passing very well. I heard he has a couple medical issues going on.
I've heard that, but I have not seen any citation of that anywhere. It's just like fans saying that, like thinking that, because yes, it would make sense. But then you get like Dave Meltzer coming out and saying, no, he was released and he didn't even know it was coming. Like he was getting ready to return this month.
Yes.
And then that's according to Dave Meltzer, whether or not that's accurate, I don't know.
Well, and that's part of the reason why I'm upset with a lot of the fans, because like there's been a lot of outreach at the WWE. Which that's where you need to direct your anger.
Yeah.
Reach at the WWE and blame the WWE. Blame Vince McMahon. Blame the people in booking. Blame the writers.
Oh, yeah.
Don't blame people like Alexa Bliss or Bray Wyatt for his release. Because, I mean, it is what it is. Shit happens. Like, they released fucking Braun Strowman. Did you fucking point fingers at Bray Wyatt going, you buried your brother?
Yeah, exactly.
No. I mean, and this is what pisses me off, is that fans are all like, oh, man, Bray Wyatt, well, he was so underutilized, and, I mean, people buried him. Then show your support for him.
Yeah, that's the thing. These exact same fans who are like, oh, man, they misused him, they all this other stuff, are the same people who are like, oh, this gimmick's getting stale, fuck this shit, it's stupid. Yeah. It's like, you're complaining on one end, but then you're bitching about him being released at the other end. And it's like, how about you come up with something constructive for a change? Throw out some suggestions. Whether they get listened to or not is a different story. But, like, it's like, come on. All you people do is fucking complain about everything. And
one of the things I want to address while we're talking about the Bray Wyatt thing is that there were rumors speculating that since Bray Wyatt's release, there are talks of putting somebody else in the Fiend gimmick.
Ugh. Now, I hope that doesn't happen.
If that happens, fans are going to fucking, like, they're going to be out for blood.
And part of me wonders if that's why, like, the picture that they picked, like, let's pick a really old picture instead of something new that's linked to the Fiend. Like, even the, like, Bray with the sweater and stuff, that's still all linked to the Fiend.
True.
And so it makes me wonder if they're trying to, like, this Bray Wyatt is gone, but the Fiend might still be here.
It would also make sense as to why they changed up the gear for the Fiend with that whole big return at Mania.
Yeah.
He had the full shirt, a full mask. Like, you couldn't, because now if somebody else is under the mask, like, say, like they did in TNA with, like, Suicide.
Yeah.
You're not going to quite know. Yeah. I mean, fans know. And we always find out, but I mean, like, if you can't see it, it's not always true.
Or like Sin Cara.
Yep.
Yeah.
Prime example, man. That's a great. And so I made the joke at work the other day because I mean, again, this is the one story that tonight I can't be unbiased on because I am a huge Bray Wyatt fan.
Mm-hmm.
I made the comment the other day. This is kind of like in the 90s when Scott Hall and Kevin Nash jumped ship to WCW, and the WWE was like, well, what the fuck do we do now? Like, those were two of our big names. And they made Imposter Razor and Imposter Diesel.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, like, they were blatant. Like, you could look at them and go, that's not them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if they put somebody else in the Fiend mask, you're instantly going to be like, that's not Bray Wyatt. Like, just because it looks like a zebra and is painted like a zebra does not mean it's a zebra.
Yeah, exactly. It's just because you paint a fucking horse with stripes doesn't mean shit.
Now, that being said, I don't have much else to say about the Bray Wyatt release. It did affect me. Like, this is one of those things where a lot of shit Josh and I don't talk about on the air about what we do for wrestling. I'm going to address this now. I'm at a point where I don't really give a shit about the product at all anymore. I don't watch a lot of reviews anymore. I don't watch pay-per-views. I don't watch the product. I'm really burnt out on so many things going on. Not to mention there's just such an oversaturation of wrestling right now. How the fuck do you even, like, keep up?
No,
There's just so much going on. And this right here, this was a shot in the balls because Bray Wyatt was one of the few people that I actually, like, he's inspired me in so many ways to be a better person and want to be different.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, you can't see it, but I've got a Fiend mask sitting right to my fucking left. I mean, I've got a Fiend owl sitting over here. I've literally got Bray Wyatt action figures. Bray Wyatt is one of the guys that, like, if I ever had the chance to meet him, I would just tell him thank you. He has literally relit a fire in me and showing me a reason that I want to be a better person and a better father to my kid. Like, there's not much else I can say about this release. This one actually kind of hurt me a little bit.
Yeah, it was.
He's misused him so bad in the last couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we've had some great matches with him, but you know he'd have a great match and then he'd be gone for 2 months.
Yeah,
you know he'd have a great match and then he's gone for another 3 months. You know, and it's like, well, what's the point?
And that's the thing. Like, I understood he was kind of like injury prone, like the last like couple years. Like he has gotten hurt. But look at his wrestling style. His wrestling style, like, he does a lot with his body that a lot of guys don't do. Yeah. Not to mention, look at some of the bad booking that's been done against him, like his Hell in a Cell match with Seth Rollins. Oh, yeah. I pointed this one out the other day to you. You go back like 3 or 4 years when he fought John Cena at Mania the first time when he was still doing like the Wyatt family.
Yeah. Cena
crushed him that night. Cena shouldn't have beat him. Now, granted, they rectified that with the Firefly Funhouse match. And I know people shit on that match, but it did what its job needed to do.
I really enjoyed it. It was different, and it was something that you could only do in this age of, you know, like the Thunderdome type thing, you know, where there's no crowd.
But people like you and I, we understand a different level of the business that a lot of people don't, and that was one of the compliments that we were given about the podcast is that we don't just look at things as a fan and we're like, oh my god, this was a shitty match because it wasn't an actual. No, it wasn't about being a match. It was about John Cena taking the back seat to somebody who could actually surpass.
It was about telling a story, and they did that beautifully.
Like, okay, so do me a favor. Breaking the idea of what we're doing right now. Will you do me a favor and release the bottom banner and the top one?
Yeah, I can definitely do that. That one's gone, and now that one is gone.
Boom. Okay. So we're going to add a little bit more to the thing today, and it's going to focus on what we're talking about with Bray Wyatt. And that is the fact that WWE gets people sometimes, and they don't know how to book them properly. And it's not even about, like, booking them. It's about people can get themselves over, like the Zack Ryders, the CM Punks, the Daniel Bryans, the Bray Wyatts, the Jeff Hardys. These guys can outsell people like John Cena who get, like, 17 different shirts in a month. But yet they don't get utilized for like months, and they get pushed aside. Yeah. And Josh and I had talked about this, and I don't fully understand it sometimes because we were taught a very special lesson when we went to train and we started trying to make a shot in the business. And that was wrestlers have one job. And Josh, do you remember what we were taught?
I honestly don't. I'll be told.
Our job is to put asses in seats.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter if you have a good match or a bad match. What matters is your ticket sales.
Yeah.
Because with no tickets being sold, you don't have a job.
That's true. Yeah.
So now you start focusing on some of these guys who are bringing in money, like Rey Mysterio with his mask sales, merchandise sales, Jeff Hardy, T-shirts, armbands, necklaces. I mean, if they let him do some art and sold some of his art prints, they could make thousands off that, guaranteed. Probably millions. Bray Wyatt, his merch sales are through the roof. They released him, they discounted his shit, and his shit is still outselling other people's.
Yeah.
Cena with his 17 fucking T-shirts in 1 month. Zack Ryder was top merch sales there for a while.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like, there are these guys who they can't get themselves over sometimes, and WWE's like, I mean, we tried.
Yeah, barely.
And it's like, and that's it. Barely. What the fuck did they ever do with Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona, that was trying hard enough to make that man relevant?
Yeah.
Have Kane throw him off the stage while he was in a wheelchair? Have him get kicked in the balls at WrestleMania by Eva Marie?
Pretty much.
Or Torres or whoever it was?
Yeah.
But I mean, like those guys fought hard for your business to make you money, like Bray Wyatt, and you're just like, hey, look, you came up with a great gimmick. You came up with this awesome thing. You paid for a mask out of your own pocket. But guess what? We don't need you anymore. So best of future endeavors. Good luck to you. Hopefully you land on your feet. You know? And that bugs me because I hate watching this business fall apart because there are so many internet fans who are like, oh, let me tell you, AEW is buying up all this WWE talent, and it's making them WCW all over again. No, it's not making them WCW. It's called a smart purchase. It's called a future investment.
Yeah.
Like I said, you take some of these guys, you build them up, and prime example of somebody doing this in the past was Brian fucking Pillman. Brian Pillman played two companies against each other to make himself fucking millions.
Yeah.
And, like, he made himself a relevant star with the whole loose cannon gimmick. Nobody knew if he was fucking crazy or not. But you didn't dare question it because you weren't sure what the fuck you were going to get.
Yeah.
And, like, you've got guys like Wyndham. Wyndham is drawing money. Wyndham is a fucking talent. He can write his own promos and cut amazing promos. And the only problem he had was that WWE wasn't giving him creative control enough to harvest the character into something greater.
Yeah.
Well, no shit. If you look at the fucking list right now of the people that Randy Orton's beat in the last few, like last year, to the people who have quit and went to AEW, that's a pretty scary fucking ratio.
Oh, yeah, man.
I mean, Christian, Big Show, Mark Henry, Ric Flair. I mean, fuck, like, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't care if the WWE is going to sell or not at this point. You keep getting rid of fucking big stars, you're not going to have people that want to draw money anymore. Like, I'm sorry, I don't want to go and pay for a ticket to WWE in Buffalo, New York to see Oldberg fucking wrestle somebody. And honestly, I don't give a shit about Bobby Lashley as champion either.
Yeah.
So
I've said that so many times on the show.
And then, yeah, depending on which show is to come to Buffalo, I might not go.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's just, again, that's my personal opinion. I'm sorry for going off on a tyrant.
Yeah, I totally get it, man. I totally get it. But yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty much all we got. Unless you got something else you want to talk about, John.
This is my new NWO t-shirt. This is my new NWO mug. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not down with the Wolfpack, then get the fuck out of here.
That's true. And if you don't like Big Red, then fuck you. That's right.
Josh, why don't you tell the ladies and gentlemen, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at JP Raynor. That's JPRAYNOR, as well as right down there at Movie Blog Merc. That is the Twitter page for my site, Merc with a Movie Blog. You know, if you're watching this on YouTube. Be sure to check us out all over the place at Off the Ropes. JJ. John, where can they find you?
Ooh, well, you can find me right here on Twitter at Simply Saying J1. That is the Twitter account that corresponds with my personal podcast, Simply Saying with Jay. Just released an episode a couple weeks ago with, the homie with the most over here. I'm working on another episode here within probably the next week. I should have it up and going.
Cool. Yeah.
I mean, that's me. I'm on Twitter pretty much. I do a lot of Facebook stuff. You can find me here on Off the Ropes JJ. I do a lot of the Facebook stuff. And even though it's not as active as it was about like 6-7 months ago, I'm still there. You can find me also on the How I Met Your Mother podcast that Josh and I do, which is called Last Call at McLaren's. So if you haven't went and checked that out, if you're a How I Met Your Mother fan, you should probably hop on over to that. We can put a link in the description below.
I'll say it also at Last Call HIMYM on Twitter. Be sure to check that out. Also, the Merc of the Movie Blog YouTube channel has the video version of that podcast, so be sure to check that out.
Listen.
As you can see below, Off the Ropes JJ on Twitter, and also Patreon. We'll do some cool stuff. We got some videos up there. There's some other stuff that I want to do. If we start getting some patrons, I want to get a video card and start recording myself playing that. What's it called? I don't even freaking remember what game it is. Yeah, the WWE 2K Battlegrounds that I got. I'd love to do just play. I'm probably gonna get my ass beat, but hey, you can watch me lose. Sure.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, one last thing really quick. If you haven't went over to check out his movie blog Merc page, you need to. He does some kick-ass movie trailer reviews, and recently he did one. It was for Ghostbusters Afterlife trailer, which features me. Because why the fuck not? I mean, we already do like 2 podcasts together. Might as well do a trailer review together as well.
Fucking A.
But his movie reviews are top notch. Like, you will not get a better movie review with unbiasedness towards the movie unless you listen to him specifically.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that.
Hey, you got to support where the sport goes. And you know me, I always give credit where credit's due. I always tell people Luke blew up the Death Star.
That's true, and Han shot first. We know that for the truth, and anyone who believes different is wrong. And that is the end of episode 31 of Off the Ropes with John and Josh. I am Josh.
I'm still John.
And we are down
for the count.
Catch you guys on the flippity flop.
Peace.